Okay, hey everybody. I'm not really showing myself today because I don't look that great. I haven't been feeling that great either. So, yeah, you just get chin down, sorry. Today I am working on a very heavily modified Trailblazer bag by Bagstock. When you see it, it's not even gonna look like the Trailblazer. I shortened it, I think 1.5 inches. So, on my pattern pieces, if you're wanting to do this as well, is the only reason I'm showing you. Let's see. I will show you real quick without giving anything away. Nope. If I can find the right one. Okay, well, I'm having problems finding the right ones here. Give me just a second. I will show you what I did exactly. Okay. So, pattern piece A. I don't see anything that could give anything away. Okay, pattern piece A is this. I measured down 1.5 inches and I put a fold mark. And that is for the side panel, not this. The side panel, I did that. And for these big panels, I did the same thing. I think, okay, here's the big panel. I measured down how much I wanted to shorten it and just put fold and cut for shorter bag. And so when I cut my pattern pieces out, that's what I did to make it shorter, okay? All right, now that I made a complete mess, hopefully I explained that well enough. Okay, so that's what I did to begin with, is I made the bag shorter. Then I did not use a zipper enclosure on mine. I just did a magnetic snap. I did not put these in. I didn't put this strap in, or whatever you want to call that, or this vinyl. I did not do that. I did not add the flap. None of this honky junk up here. Not that it's junk, I love this bag, but I was just modifying it, so I didn't do none of that. And this is for like your luggage. You can put it over the handle. I did not do that. I did the back the same exact way I did the front, which is basically just a big slip pocket. And I'm going to show you that here in just a second. I'm just kind of going over this bag so you know what the original looks like. I don't know why I can't unzip it, but okay. Well, the inside just has a zipper on one side and that's it. I put a ton of pockets on the inside of mine. So now that we went over this, I want to go show you what I did. I did do these, however. I did. Okay. I already have a bunch of junk in mine. This is my bag. It almost kind of looks like a diaper bag. See how much shorter? I mean, it's not a lot shorter, but it's shorter. The back, I was going to put magnetic snaps and then I forgot and then it was too late. So I was just like, whatever, it's just a big slip pocket. I do have this big notebook I carry around with me. So, I mean, it fits in there. That's the back. And I could put stuff in here in the front. I got this with a pair of headphones. I put gum in it. So this is just stuff I use at work. Gum, I chew gum. Fingernail file if I have a hangnail or whatever. Pens, I do crochet on my breaks. I'm in the middle of making a cute little bee afghan. My time clock, I'm gonna need that in my food card. So all that stuff's easily handy. This was my notebook, but I have other stuff I can put in there. Lotion for my psoriasis on my elbows. Water. I like this. That's why I made this bag and modified it the way I did, because I wanted somewhere to put my water, because I usually shove it in my bag and it's just annoying because it's always in my bag. So the one thing I'm not extremely happy about is I made these little pockets on the side. There's 2 of them, one way down here. And I mean, I'm happy with this. I wanted something from easily, so I could easily get to my hand sanitizer and chapstick. It's not really deep enough, so I'm afraid they're gonna fall out. But I don't throw my bag around, and I usually don't tip it over like this either, so it'll probably be all right. But anyway, this side seam, if you can see all the way down there, has a pocket down there and a pocket up here. The other side I did a little bit differently. I just did one. It's kind of sort of deep. I have earbuds in it for now. This side I have the zipper pocket, which is pretty deep. And then I have a slip pocket, which I have another little notebook in. Let me get this out of here. Don't need that in there. So the slip pocket in front of my zipper pocket. Okay. And then on this side, I have to stand up. I have 4 slip pockets. This first one goes all the way down. Electrical tape forward. Goes all the way down to the bottom of the bag. And then the one in front of it starts about right here in the center and goes all the way down to the bottom. So tons of storage. I just like that everything can be organized instead of just thrown in here. This, I plan on making another bag to match, but I still have this from my Mustang bag I was using. I'm going to be putting my Mustang in storage, so I thought, you know, I should make a new bag so I'm not sad all winter long while my Mustang's in storage. But yeah, and it fits in there nice and neat. I do have a tutorial on how I did that on my channel as well. And yeah, a snap enclosure. And the snap closure is okay, but I just found I don't zip my bags at work ever. They're always just open. And I'm like, why go through all the trouble of putting the snap enclosure, or the zipper in if I'm never even gonna use it? So usually my big old notebook is inside the bag. Oops, if I can get it in there, which works, and that's great, but it won't snap. I'd have to put it in sideways. And it barely fits with all the pockets that I put in it. It kind of gets snagged on stuff, so I'll probably keep that in this back pocket. I know you guys don't care. I'm just talking out loud here. But yeah, I'm happy with it. And now I can fit even more things in my bag if I need to for work. Like, I really don't need to take that much stuff to work. But I have some pretty good breaks at work, so I do have a lot of time to kind of mess around and do stuff. And this, I am teaching myself Spanish, so on my breaks I kind of write notes and all that good stuff. But I just did the one shoulder strap. I know it's not a very good angle because I don't want to be in the video because I look like crap, but I love it, and I can make it a crossbody if I want to. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this video. I did make myself a bunch of notes, and I will go over that in the video. Like the pockets that I modified, and these. I show you how I did this pocket, you know, with the little vinyl on the top, and I give you the sizes and all that good stuff. So yeah, sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Well, not bye, but enjoy the video. See ya. All right, well, let's just jump right to it. I'm gonna start on my strap first, get it out of the way. So go ahead and get my swivel clasps and my adjustable thing out. I'm probably gonna need my rivets, but I can do that later. Okay, these out of the way. All right, I've already put some double-sided tape on the edges. You could use 1/2 inch down the center. I just did 1/4 inch on each edge. That's just what I like to do. So I am just peeling that off and folding that long edge right up next to my center line that I marked down the center of my strap. I did try to do a lot of prep work, so this video will be a little bit shorter, not so long. We'll see how I do in the end. I've got all my bobbins wound. Everything's all ready to go, so we'll see. This bag is gonna be so cool, hopefully. Hopefully when it's done. It's gonna be a lot different than the Trailblazer, but I think it'll work for what I need it for. Guess we'll see. And I did write down all the measurements for my add-ons and modifications in case you like it as well. You can do it also. Definitely give credit to Bagstock for their great pattern though. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be able to do this because I wouldn't even have a clue where to begin. Okay, let's move you over just a little smidge. Go ahead and sew the strap together. that for the strap. Let's go ahead. It's not really the length that you want an adjustable strap to be, but for myself, I don't need them really, really long, but I do like them to have a little bit of a difference. I don't know. So I'm lost. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm talking. Okay, so we don't want it that far. Pardon me. 1 second. You know how long it's been since I've sewn? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna sew this shut. And then we're gonna flip this through here. Oh my gosh, you guys, seriously. Okay, let's sew this shut really quick. Then I'll move on. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. This is pathetic. Get off. Oh, I got some thread issues. This is not starting off well. I forgot how to make a strap, adjustable strap, and my thread is giving me issues. All right, that's all right. It'll get better, right? All right. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay. 1 second here. It has been a hot minute since I have sewn. Bear with me. Okay. One more line. Okay. Nothing fancy here, just 2 parallel lines. Take my lighter and cinch those ends. Okay. Okay. Yes, I seriously had to go and get an old, strap just to figure out how to put one of these together. Isn't that nice? Okay, my raw edge that I flipped over is pointing up. I'm going to leave that laying up. And I'm going to put my swivel clasp on with the flat part in. I know this is really hard to explain. I'm sure there's better videos out there. But when you, I'm not even going to try to explain it, but when you flip it all around, you want your swivel clasp on one end, and you're going to have to put it on the other end. I am not explaining this well. Oh my gosh. Seriously, what a wreck. Just make sure all of your raw edges are the right way. I'm sure there's better videos that explain this, and I would highly recommend going elsewhere if you're really trying to figure out how to make an adjustable strap, because I wasn't even sure how to do it to begin with for some reason. I definitely need to sew more. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just putting 2 parallel lines right here instead of using rivets. And this is just a work bag for me, so I don't really care about the extra, look to it. It's gonna get some wear and tear at work, so it's fine. Rivets might even make it a little more durable, but it's okay. And I'm just singeing those threads really quick here. And there you have it, 2 parallel lines and my adjustable strap. Ta-da! Okay, we're gonna go ahead and work on the exterior side panel pieces. For our strap connectors, we're going to end up putting them on the top 1.5 inches down. But first we have to make them. So we're gonna go ahead and put our little pocket pieces aside and get our D-rings. Okay, now I've already got the double-sided sticky tape on here. You could put a 1/2 inch down the center, or I just like to use 1/4 of an inch on the sides of these longer edges. And I just fold these over to the center mark. And I did mess up a little, but you couldn't tell because I sewed over. But you'll see when I get both of these folded, I top stitch them, and you don't really need to do that because you still have to sew them onto the bag. So that's completely up to you. If you're watching right now, when I go to sew these here in just a second, you can skip that and just wait until you're sewing them onto the bag if you're worried about sewing over top of the lines that you already sewed, or however you want to explain that. But anyway, yeah, if you want to skip this part right here, don't do this part. I promise it'll work out. You do not have to do what I'm doing right now at this moment. But, I mean, if you want, you can. It's not the end of the world. As I was doing it, I was like, oh, oops, what did I... Okay, well, I've done it before and it turned out just fine. And the bag is, again, the bag's for me, so it's fine. No big deal. Okay, we're just cutting them apart. All right, so now if you wouldn't have stitched them, they would still look like this, just without those stitch lines. I'm gonna get some more double-sided tape so I can fold my edges up and they will stay in place. I'm using 1/2 inch this time. I'm just gonna cut 2 pieces off. Okay, we're just gonna fold one edge down and the other and kind of eyeball it. All right, see where I want it. Put my tape in here. Peel the top part off. Stick those edges down so everything stays in place. And there you have it. And we'll put another clip on, not another, but we'll put a clip on here just for added security, you know, so it doesn't come undone. I don't know if you can hear it, but my dog's laying in the chair over there and he is just snoring away. Okay, just gonna do it again with this other strap connector. Fold the edges down. Okay, grab a clip. And there's our strap connectors. So we will actually need some more tape. I'm going to put some on the back side of those strap connectors so when we put them onto our side panel we can just stick them on and they won't move, and then we can sew them down. Excuse me. Okay, so this is where we're going to measure our 1.5 inches down. I do have a ruler that has a 0 in the center, so I just eyeballed it. I didn't really eyeball it. I measured from, you know, and found the center. And then 1.5 inches down. And I'm going to go ahead and put my tape on my strap connectors on the wrong side of the strap connectors. And then just peel that top part off. And center it. I don't center the D-ring, I center the top of the strap connector, the vinyl, with the 1.5 inch mark, where I butt it up against it. Okay, find the center again, 1.5 inches down, and just butt that vinyl edge right up next to your ruler. Okay, and that's what those look like, and we're going to go ahead and just stitch those on. Now see, if you wouldn't have top stitched those first, those lines wouldn't be there, and you wouldn't have to try to stay right on top of those stitch lines because you don't want it to look wonky. But it's fine. It turns out looking just fine, I promise. Okay, I just try to take my time here so it looks good, and I do back stitch so I don't have to worry about my walking foot scratching my hardware. So that I'll backstitch, then flip it around and finish going around the strap connector. It's just kind of a little trick. I'll show you again on the next one. Some people have an extra piece of vinyl laying around that they like to put over top of their hardware. So when they turn their walking foot, you know, it doesn't scratch it. And I do that also sometimes. But I find that backstitching kind of works too. So I like to start right beside the hardware. I get as close as I can to it. I do some back stitching, and then I go to my stitch line that I already made, but instead of turning and going the way I normally would, I'm going to back stitch right here. Very carefully, I just take a few stitches, and then I flip it back around the way I wanted to go and finish going around the strap connector. If you feel that you're comfortable enough back stitching, I mean, go for it. Just take your time. I don't know. It's easier than having to grab for that extra piece of vinyl that I leave lay. It's just, whatever. I actually, I guess, forgot to add rivets. I have them in my little box, but I should have added them right here, just, you know, for looks, but oh well, it happens. Okay, now we need to make our side pockets. So you need exterior and a lining, and put them right sides together. I'm gonna flip it over because I want to sew from the waterproof canvas side. So just make sure everything's lining up really good, throw a couple clips in, and we're gonna do, I'm gonna do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I already kind of marked it on there. I believe the pattern calls for 3/4 of an inch, but when I printed my pattern out, for some reason it didn't print at 100%. So my pattern pieces aren't even true to the size that they're supposed to be. So that's why I'm just going for a 1/2 inch, just because it didn't print out at 100%. So make sure when you print your pattern pieces, you definitely hit that 100% on your printer settings. But yeah, seam allowances, just refer to the pattern for those and you'll be good. I'm going to do these a couple different ways before I top stitch to show you some options. Let me cut all my threads here. Okay. So the first one, I am going to bring these bottom pieces together, wrong sides together, and we want to roll this top edge because we're going to top stitch it. We want this top edge to be nice and flat. Sorry, I was trying to... This way works, but there's another way I can do it also that just gives you a definite flatness. I guess you don't have to like wiggle it and try to figure it out. You'll just see. But anyway, we're going to top stitch from the vinyl side. We want our top thread to be on that part of the pocket. Turn my stitch length up a little. We're going to go across the top and then all the way around. Make sure, there we go, throw some clips so nothing moves. All right. This is just a basting stitch, so like 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, whatever, just kind of, if your seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch, just definitely go under that. I would say 1/4 of an inch would be fine. Excuse me. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you, well, that's what it looks like on both sides after I basted it and top stitched. I'm just going to cut these little dog ears off. I guess you don't really have to. They'll be hidden in the seam allowance, but they were bugging me, so. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. All right, and I'm going to show you a different way to do it. Okay. I'm going to take some 1/4 inch double-sided sticky tape and put it on the very edge within that seam allowance. I'm going to do it on both sides. Right along the edge, stay in the seam allowance. It's more work. You're using more products, as in materials, you're using tape, and you don't really need to, but see, it's in the seam allowance. So it's definitely an unneeded step, but I like to do it like this sometimes. So you're just going to press that seam, kind of pull it a little bit, and press down, and then you're going to do the same exact thing for the other side. Goodness. This one's a little bit tougher because you don't have anything to really hold on to pull it away, but it's possible. So you're just going to make sure it's nice and straight. And this is if you're just really want it to be, you know, nice and perfect. That's just another way to do it. You don't have to worry about trying to roll it and get it just right. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some clips in here and do the same exact thing we did the other one. We're going to go ahead and top stitch across the top first. Okay, I have gotten interrupted so many times that's why I'm just doing a voiceover for the most part on this video. But anyway, I just went ahead and top stitched over the top part and then just all the way around, just like we did the other pocket. And now my dog is sitting on my lap now, so I can't promise he won't make any weird noises, but that's okay. And I know my husband is on his way home from town, so he'll be home pretty soon, which will interrupt me again. So this may take me a couple days. All right, I just cut the dog ears off of this one too, and now both of the pockets are ready to be sewn onto our side panels. So, and again, this one I'm going to kind of show two different ways that you can do this. So this is the top of your side panel, and this is like how you would be looking at it. So we're going to line up the bottom. We're going to do this one a little different than the next one. They will both turn out exactly the same and fine. I'm just doing them different is all. So I'm going to go ahead and clip the bottom and just sew across the bottom. I'm not doing anything with the sides, just the bottom. And this is just for security. The clips, Wonder clips work great. If you really don't want the bottom to move, just sew the bottom on. Now, since the top part of this pocket is wider, it's going to like be funny, you know, how we clip it on. So just line up the edges. It's gonna look funny, but I promise it'll, see, it looks kind of funny. I promise it'll turn out just fine. Go ahead and clip them all. I'm using Wonder clips. They hold better than the alligator clips. Okay. And then we're just gonna go ahead and sew around. Let's see how the top is like it's wider. So we're gonna go ahead and just start here, and I'm even gonna sew across the bottom again, just so I don't have to start and stop with my thread. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and turn and sew right across the bottom. It should all be nice and flush. There shouldn't be any pleats. It should be good. Just make sure those edges stay lined up. Puppy's getting kisses. Okay, yep, cut off the threads. And now you have this little pocket. I call it the water bottle pocket because that's what I plan on putting in it. All right, let's go ahead and do the other one. This other one, I'm just gonna do clips instead of sewing the bottom first. So we're gonna line up the bottom first, of course, and then throw some Wonder clips in here. The more the merrier, however many you wanna use. And sometimes it's easier to just pick this part up off the table instead of leaving it lay flat on the table. It's just kind of easier to manipulate that pocket. Okay, and then just do the other side, just like we did the other one, just we didn't sew the bottom first. I'm sorry about the angle of the camera. I could have put it up a little bit more, I suppose. Okay, same thing, just sew all the way around. I'm doing like an 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, something like that, back stitch. The seam allowance is pretty big according to the pattern. So, I mean, your basting stitches, you could really just get away with 1/4 of an inch. But yeah, just get close to the edge, make sure all the pieces are sewn together. Puppy is being extra snuggly today. Okay. Our side panels are finished. This is exciting. I'm really excited to see how this bag turns out. You guys have already seen it because I did an intro, but of course I'm doing a voiceover now, so I have seen it too, I guess. But yeah, I was super excited to do this. I love the Trailblazer the Trailblazer. I love this pattern, and on its own, the way that Bagstock Patterns designed it. But I love modifying bags too, seeing what I can do with them. So definitely not going to take credit. I will give the measurements for what I'm doing, but I'm definitely not going to take credit for any of it. It's all Bagstock. Great patterns. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go with the larger panels. I don't know why my hair just got in the... Oh, that's my daughter. Okay, that's why we're doing a voiceover, because she came in and brought the dog in. And, yep, there he is. Hi, Poppy. All right, we're just taking... These come with the pattern. These pieces do. It's for the slip pocket on the front that the flap snaps to. That's what it is. And I did cut those down. I didn't at first, and then later on I decided they need to be a little bit shorter. So I think I took 1 inch off of the height of that. But I'm putting right sides together, and I'm just going to sew one of these, the top edge basically. If you have a directional fabric, you want to sew the top edge to your lining. I'm doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then we're going to do just like we did those pockets for the side panels. Yep, there's the dog's foot. We're just going to flip this out and get that nice and flat and clip it, and just do the same thing we did on those side panels, top stitch, and then go all the way around. I'm kind of lining up the bottom. I'm out of the frame again, I'm sorry. She was talking to me, the dog was there. It was, yeah, I was trying to pay attention to what I was doing, but yeah, I was distracted. But anyway, I did clip the bottom panels shut so they wouldn't move, so I was hoping it'd make it a little easier to get this top edge folded nice and neat. I could have used my tape again, but like I said, my daughter was distracting me, so it's fine. All right, we're gonna go ahead and top stitch all the way across and then go all the way around the pocket. So my doctor took me off work for a week because I've been having a lot of pain. I had a disc replaced on my neck about 1.5 years ago, and it helped with the pain I was having, but I'm still having pain. So I get injections now in my neck, and they work, but the last one I had done was about 3 weeks ago, and typically the pain's gone by now, and it's still there. It's almost worse than what it was before. So she told me to take the week off and just kind of relax and take some prednisone and just, you know, and chill out. So this is really the only thing I've done so far, is just sew this bag. Other than that, I'm taking it easy. But I'm just lining up the bottom edges and the side edges, of course, and clipping it. And then we're just gonna sew it on. This is the back panel, so I'm not putting my handmaid's tag or whatever you want to call it on here. It's just gonna be one big slip pocket. I originally wanted a magnetic closure, but forgot. So yeah, I was gonna have it, you know, magnetic closure there so it wouldn't just be wide open, but it's okay. I'm kind of happy with the way it turned out anyway. I think the magnetic closure probably would have bothered me more than anything, honestly. But yeah. So we'll just finish basting this slip pocket on, and then the back panel will be done. Not too bad. Awesome. Big slip pocket, and that's why I said I had directional fabric, so make sure when you're top stitching and sewing that panel, you're definitely doing it the right way. Now we're gonna go ahead, and this one's even more modified. And this one, I'm just reading my notes. My notes say, place handmade tag on top of big slip pocket. Well, I changed my mind. I didn't want it on the top of the big slip pocket. I wanted it on the black vinyl at the very, very top. So that's what I'm getting. I'm getting my snap enclosure out, which I end up not using in the end. And then I'm getting my handmade tag right now. The small pocket at the very bottom, I'm going to go ahead and give the dimensions now. It is 5 tall by 11.5 wide. Now I'll show you that. I'll say it again here in just a second, and I will I will try to put all these dimensions in the description box below. It might be a little bit hard to explain, but I'll try to figure it out. So let's just get all this unclipped here. Okay, this little piece, we're gonna do this little pocket first. I was getting ahead of myself. Okay, directional fabric right here on top with the words is 5 by 11.5. And then I have a piece of vinyl also that is 6 by 11.5. Okay, so 5 by 11.5 is this one. We're gonna put the top edges together. Throw some clips on here. And so across the top, I know they're both a different size, but that's what's gonna give us that little vinyl top edge, I guess. You'll see. 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down, all the way across, whatever you wanna call it. Puppy kisses. Okay. Boy. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. So I am going to use tape this time just to make sure that this gets nice and neat. Just on the one side, I'm not going to do both sides. Keep it in that seam allowance. Again, you don't need the tape, it's not a necessity. I just kind of like that it gives it a little bit extra, I don't know, whatever. So yep, fold it over. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to match up the bottom edges. We're not going to flip it over like we did the pockets. We're going to match up that bottom edge and clip it all the way across. Can never have too many clips. All right, so now you're going to see we have that little bit of extra black across the top. That's what I want. I want it to have that little bit of a black trim for design, whatever. So we're going to top stitch across the edge of that black vinyl all the way around, and then we'll top stitch across the fabric with the words on it. So right now we're doing the vinyl, about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. A little bit of back stitching all the way across, and instead of turning and top stitching across again, blah blah blah, you'll see, just go all the way around now, baste it shut. You're a good puppy, aren't you? Okay, all the way to the very edge now, and then I'm going to back stitch so I can top stitch across this fabric part now. I'll hold it up in just a second and show you. So I'll have a top stitch line across the vinyl, and then I'll have a top stitch line across the fabric as well. If I would have made my vinyl a little bit longer, I probably could have done 2 top stitch lines on the vinyl, but that's what it looks like, and I'm happy with it. Now as I'm doing this, I do mess up a little, but I fix it, so you can still follow along. It won't hurt nothing. Just use a fabric marker when you're marking on your fabric. That way it will definitely come out. But anyway, I'm just laying it on top to see what it's going to look like. And I was thinking about what to do with my handmade tag, because I was thinking about putting it on the top pocket, but ended up changing my mind. So I'm just kind of thinking to myself here and trying to figure out what to do next. Reading my notes. Bear with me. I think my daughter was probably talking to me too, who knows. But okay, so I want to put, sorry, my silly puppy. I want to put a, see, I was trying to figure out where to put it. And I decided it definitely was going to get lost with the fabric there. It would have looked good, but I think it would have gotten lost. So I definitely wanted to put it on the black vinyl, and we will get to that. We don't need the black vinyl right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But we are going to make another slip pocket. So directional fabric, make sure you top stitch, sew it together along the top edge, just like we did the back pocket basically on the other panel. So flip it over, line up that top edge, throw some clips in, and we're just going to do the same thing we did on the back. And I will just be quiet and let you watch, and maybe you can hear my puppy snoring if he decides to snore. Doesn't matter. Okay, just rolling this top edge. I just love these slip pockets. The pockets, I've done them before. It's kind of like making a zipper pocket, but you don't put the zipper in. It's just like a hole instead of a zipper. I know those are nice on certain bags, but if I can work these types of slip pockets in, I don't know why, but I just like the construction of them so much better. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But okay, I just top stitched across the top. I did not go all the way around. Even though I literally just made this bag like an hour ago. I'm trying to remember why. I can't remember why I didn't go all the way around, but okay. Maybe it's because I got to do it anyway with the small pocket, so I was just saving a step. But all right, so in the small pocket, I want like a pen holder in the center and 2 small pockets on each side of it. So I don't know why I'm lining it up to the vinyl, but I don't want to sew through the vinyl, so I'm going to move the vinyl out of the way here in a second. See, I don't think that's going to look good. So I'm going to put that up there somewhere. So maybe that's what I'm going to do now, is figure out where I want that to go. Yeah? I don't know. Okay, so that's why I made this big slip pocket, so I could see exactly where it was from the top of the vinyl and all that good stuff. For placement, I guess, of my handmade tag, I guess. All right, that's what I'm doing next then. I'm going to measure down how far I want this. I think I did 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches down. Maybe it's 2 inches. I can't tell from here. Oh my goodness. In my notes it says put it on the top of the big slip pocket. So as I was making the bag, I changed my mind. So I am truly sorry. It looks like it's 2 inches down. And I'm just lining up those prongs and making my marks so I know where to poke my holes. And I'm also going to use a scrap piece of Decoville Heavy. I'm not going to iron it onto the vinyl, but I'm just going to use it for extra stability for the tag. You'll see. So let's poke my holes here. All right, now I got my Decoville Heavy. I'm just going to use those prongs and kind of make a little impression onto the Decoville Heavy that I can see and poke some holes in it. Okay. Now I'm going to take my handmade tag, make sure you have it on correctly. Poke it through. Looking good. All right, now go to my Decoville Heavy. Again, I'm not ironing anything on. I'm just sliding it on there. If you iron it on, you'll be able to see the outline of it through the vinyl, and I don't like that. So Decoville Heavy, I put my washer on, and then I'm gonna push my prongs outward. That's completely up to you if you want to in or out. Out, I feel like it's more flat in that area of your bag. It's not as much, I don't know. It's not such a big jumbled up spot. I don't know how to explain it, but threw some duct tape over it just to, you know, save my hands when I'm turning the bag. All right, now the big slip pocket we're gonna put back on. And I do believe I got my handmade tag a little crooked. But so I'm just kind of getting an idea of what it's going to look like, and I love it. But I am going to take the vinyl away, line these up on the bottom, and throw some clips in there. And then we're going to find the center. So originally I was just going to sew a line down the center of the small pocket. So I had 2 outside pockets. So that's what we're doing right now. But I'm going to tell you that I'm not actually going to sew in this line that I'm drawing right now. And then I realized that my pen was too dark and I couldn't see my marks. So I'm going to get my chalk pencil, find my center. I do want the center. Make a couple marks and then draw my line. And again, I'm not going to sew on this mark that I'm drawing. So if you're doing the same thing, you want to make sure you're using a pen or pencil that will erase or come off. I'm just showing you where my mark is. But I'm just going to realize that I did not want to sew there. I wanted to make this a pen holder, referring back to my notes. And I want it to be 2 inches wide. So I'm going to measure over 1 inch on each side of that mark. So I'm going to line my ruler up on the 1 inch line, make a mark, and do the same on the other side. I'll flip it around to be a little easier. Okay, now I have 3 marks. And I'm going to sew on the 2 outside marks, not on the inside one. Okay, move my stuff out of the way. I don't know if you can see that, but I have 3 lines. Sew on these, not on the center one. Okay, so here we go. Back stitch a little, and then go all the way up. I go past the top a little, do some back stitching. Don't turn and go to the side because then you're just going to sew it shut. You're going to have to stop, go all the way back down, sew over your stitches, then sew across the bottom to that next outside line. Make sure it's not the center line. And then do the same thing. Go all the way up, go past the edge just a little bit, and then turn and back down. Okay. So now we have 2 slip pockets and 1 center pen pocket. I think I'm getting a pen. Yep. Awesome. So we have a pen pocket in the center and then 2 slip pockets. Yay! And now when we attach this to the bag, this top pocket will still be a really big slip pocket. That's why I didn't want to leave it attached to the vinyl when we did this, because then we would have been stitching through the vinyl and we wouldn't have had the really big slip pocket. So there's a reason why we did it in that order. All right, so just lining up the bottom, everything's nice and straight, throw some clips in, and then we will go ahead and baste this puppy together. And then we'll be done with our exterior front panel. So exciting. A little bit. Ooh, little back stitching again. When you get to these pockets, you should back stitch just for extra, okay, just for extra security, you know, just keeping everything where it needs to be. And I think my husband's home, so I'm gonna stop now and pick back up when it's quiet again. Okay, so he never did come in the house, so I'm just gonna keep going until I have to stop. Ran out of bobbin thread. So we will change out the bobbin real quick and then we'll finish basting around this panel. Once I'm done basting this, I can go ahead and go to the lining. I'm not going to put my pieces together yet. I want to wait till all my panels and stuff are finished and then put my actual bag together. So you'll see. All right, let's go ahead and finish basting. Be sure to backstitch when you get to those pockets. Even though we're basting, it's always a good thing. It's just for reinforcement. You don't want anything to flop over and get stuck weirdly in your seams. Okay, big pockets. It's probably pocket overload now that I've finished the bag, at least on the inside and the lining. I probably went a little much, but I like the organization, so it works for me. Just checking to make sure that handmade tag is nice and straight. Here's all my pieces, the back, big slip pocket, the front, all the pockets, and then my 2 side panels. We're gonna give them a thumbs up and move on to the lining. Okay, so my daughter's in the shower, my husband ran to town. I do have a minute to actually talk during this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with these side panels because those are heavily modified too. So, first thing, I was going to put snap enclosures on my outside pockets and I just realized they were still laying here and I never did it. So, I'm just not gonna have snap enclosures, which, I mean, it's fine. I'm not worried. So, but I am going to make my top enclosure of my bag snap, not zipper, just because it's for work and I never zip in my bags at work, ever. I don't know why, I just never do. So it's kind of silly for me to put zippers on them because I'm never gonna zip them. All right, one of my nice little notes here. Inside the bag, the Trailblazer. Oh goodness. There's, well, it's hard to see, but it's just a plain whatever. I would like to have a spot to put like, hand sanitizer, chapstick, stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do is make little pockets on those side panels on the inside. So I can go up a little bit here. Okay, so that's what we're gonna work on now. In my notes, I need to top stitch these before I do anything. So, take all my clips off. Now, I'm gonna give you the dimensions for these pockets, not for the side panel, but for the pockets. The top pocket is 5 1/4 by 5 7/8. And when you lay this on your side panel, you'll know which one is which or how it goes, because you want it to be flush with your side panel. And by looking at it, I'm assuming this is the 5 7/8. But, and then this one, it is. This one, the bottom one, is going to be 6 1/2 by 5 7/8. So yes, 5 7/8. It just tells you right there is the width. Small one, 5 1/4. The bigger one for the bottom is 6 1/2. And all I'm going to do right now is, when I first did these, I always do a 1-inch line, and I put double-sided sticky tape, and I fold my raw edge to that 1-inch line, and that's what I did here. You're basically just folding it down a 1/2 inch and top stitching it, and it just gives you a nice clean edge. The bottom pocket, you only do the top edge because you're gonna line it up with the bottom. You don't need that finished. It's gonna be hidden in the seam. But this one, it's up to you if you want to give two finished edges or not. It's waterproof canvas if that's what you're using, I hope. So when it sits in there, this one will be covered by the bottom pocket just a little bit. So if you really didn't want to fold this bottom edge over on this small pocket, you don't have to, just sew it in. But I'm going to, just for the finished look. But yes, just fold all of those over a 1/2 inch, however you want to do it. You don't have to draw a line and use double-sided sticky tape. Just, you can eyeball it if you want. Put some clips in there and then go ahead and top stitch. Remember, just the one edge on this bottom pocket. Okay, and then go ahead and do the other 2 edges. Make sure you have the width, you know, correct, and fold over these edges, because you don't want to have to unpick and do it over again. I've done that. Okay. Let's trim all of our threads here. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Of course, I haven't made a test one. I don't have time for test ones if I want to make videos also, so I'm just going with it. Okay, now we want to install or attach, whatever, our smaller pocket first. And I believe in my notes it says 3 inches down from the bottom. Did I get the, oh, we don't want that. 3 inches down. This is a 3-inch wide ruler, so I'm just going to line it up with the top. Let me stand up. The top of my piece here. And then just take my finished edge and line that up with my ruler. Throw a couple clips on there. Okay, get rid of that. And now we're just, we're just going to sew across here. So really you didn't even have to top stitch this bottom edge because you're going to sew right through it anyway. But go ahead and do that. I'm sure there's a lot easier ways to do this, but this is just how we're doing it today. All right, I have not sewn my sides down. I'll get to that. I'd rather do that all at one time. So we have our top one. That's what it looks like, just a flap. Now we're going to take our finished edge and point it up and line up our bottom right here. Again, throw some clips in there. We're not doing any center stitches or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about making any center marks. Ouch. And if you want to throw a couple, just so they don't move up here. And now what we're going to do is, this is what it looks like. We got our pockets. We haven't sewn this bottom one yet. We're going to start here and just sew in a big U, and that will attach everything, kind of like a basting stitch. Careful, nothing shifts when you get to those edges. Okay, that was pretty easy. And that is one side panel done. My thought process is that I'm going to put chapstick and one of those little hand, oh here, I have one right here. Little hand sanitizer in here and a chapstick. And this, I have like safety glasses I wear. I figured I could put those in here. We'll see how it works when the bag's all put together, but that's what I want. So there's one. Let's go ahead and do the other one. This one's basically the same thing. I just don't have a bottom pocket. That's all. So, and this pocket is 6.5 by 5 7/8. We're going to top stitch it and then place it 3 inches down from the top. Let's go ahead and top stitch. Can't stand these threads. I gotta get rid of them. All right. Get my 3 inches. Make that flush with my ruler. My cuts aren't exactly straight. I'm not worried it'll get caught in the seam allowance. My pocket is just a smidge too wide, but it's not that big of a deal. You can't even really tell. All right, and I'm just going to baste down this side and around the bottom and then back up. What's up, Poppy? Okay, so back to the voiceover. I'm just showing you here that I got my pockets sewn and basted onto the side panels. They are both 3 inches down from the top is what I ended up doing. And that's the finished side panels. My dog is sitting in my lap, so just in case you hear any snorting or heavy breathing, it would be my dog. Sorry, you're a good boy, Poppy. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the slip pocket side of my lining panel. Just take off all of these clips so we can get to it. Goodness, I was in the middle of eating a cookie. My husband went outside to take care of the chickens, so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna jump back on here. But we're gonna fold down the top edge at a 1/2 inch, just like we did the pockets for the side panels, and we're gonna top stitch. I've already got this one taped and ready to go. Good boy, aren't you? All right, same thing to the bigger one. Fold that over 1/2 inch and top stitch. Good boy, you're a good boy. I was originally thinking of keeping this one that I'm sewing right now a big slip pocket, but I did end up just stacking them all on this panel and making it so I have 4 pockets instead of a big slip pocket and then these 2 small ones. So that's what I'm just kind of figuring out right now is how I'm going to do this, because I want to sew a center seam. But I originally wanted to keep, like I said, this big one big. But let's go ahead and baste it and then I'll show you what I mean. So I hadn't really decided yet when I got to this point, because I shouldn't have basted. I could have laid all of this on top of the big panel and then basted, but I mean, it's fine. It's just a little bit of an extra step. No big deal. Okay, so I basted the small pocket onto the larger slip pocket. Good boy. Lay down, bub. All right, so we have the pockets sewn together. And now I'm like, I'm just gonna put them all together. Line up the bottom. Clip it so everything stays in place. Hey, Bubba. We're gonna sew all the way around and all the way back down and then all the way back around. Excuse me. Okay, so be sure to backstitch, not backspace. I did not backstitch there, but I already sewed it on, I guess. So, but yeah, I would always recommend backstitching when you get to the pockets and stuff, just for that added security. I know I've said that I don't know how many times. Okay, I got to that center mark, which I've already marked ahead of time. I'm gonna go all the way up, backstitch a little, and all the way up past the second pocket, back stitching, flipping it around, and all the way back down. Then I'm going to pivot and continue basting around the edge. Hey, buddy. Someone is just restless today. He won't just lay down. What's the matter? What's the matter? Okay, now my slip pocket panel side of the lining is finished. And I have 4 slip pockets. The top ones go all the way down to the very bottom of the bag, very long, and then these are short. Do I know what I'm going to put in here? Not really. I'll figure it out. All right, let's go to the other side. This one's a little bit different. I'm going to have a zipper pocket and a slip pocket. So we're going to go ahead and make our slip pocket here. Goodness, I don't know why I was eating right before I decided to do this. Okay, get the zipper pocket. That's our zipper pocket pieces. We'll move those out of the way. I did cut those, gosh, I think it was 9 by 10. I'm not positive. I will put that in the description also, what size I cut them. I know I wrote it down. It's the only thing that stinks about not being able to talk while I'm doing this. I can't just tell you. I have to remember later. Again, just folding this over a 1/2 inch. We're just putting a slip pocket in front of the zipper on the side of the panel. So we fold it over 1 inch. We're going to top stitch. Okay, then we're going to add this to our panel piece. So get the big piece. And I put on the back where my magnetic snap's going to be, so I know which part is my top and bottom because I've already marked it. But line up the bottom. Clip it all around, and we're going to baste. And I'm not going to do a center seam. I want a big pocket to put like small notebooks and stuff in. So just baste around the edge. These pockets are so easy, guys. I mean, even if you don't have the double-sided sticky tape to help you fold down the edges, just fold them down and sew across the top. Use clips if you need to. Waterproof canvas just makes life so much easier. Less fabric to use, no interfacing. I mean, it saves money and time. I love waterproof canvas. Oh, I believe my dog's gonna start licking his paws now, so that's gonna be wonderful noise in the background. Oh my goodness. Okay, gotta get my zipper pull. I haven't put that on yet. So now that we have that slip pocket on our panel, we can go ahead and do our zipper pocket. Did I say that right? Slip pocket on the panel, we can do our zipper. Anyway, okay, let's cinch these edges really quick. I'm so sorry. Poppy, stop. Please. That's gross. Poppy, stop. I'm so sorry. I gotta do this when I find the time. Oh my gosh. Okay. I know, buddy. No one wants to listen to you licking your paws. I'm sorry. I know. It's rough. You're a good boy. All right. We got the zipper pull on. Now I'm scratching his ear. What a goofball. You're silly. Okay. So it's going to take me a hot minute to get my bearings going here. So 1 second. Okay, so I'm just going to take one of my zipper pocket pieces and I'm going to measure down 1 inch and draw a line, and then a 1/2 inch from that. So 1 inch and then 1.5 inches all together from the top. Make 2 lines. I want these to be right sides together when I lay them down, but I'm just figuring out how far from the edge I want to stop my stitching. I think I made it like 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, something like that. It's personal preference, whatever you want actually. Okay, so right side up and right side down. And you can see my box right there. Sorry, it was kind of fast. Okay, and I did draw on my big panel in the beginning where I wanted it to be. But I don't know if you can see right there. Originally I drew on the big panel where I wanted the zipper to be, but I do actually want to do my zipper from the zipper pocket piece. So I'm just kind of lining it up where I want it to be like 2.5 inches down. My first line that I'm going to stitch on, I want to be 2.5 inches down from the top of my main panel lining piece, if that even makes sense. And again, I'm not going by the pattern here, I'm just kind of putting it where I want it. So it's, yeah. And I'm just folding the bottom up and clipping it to this zipper panel piece. That way, hopefully it just doesn't kind of move while I'm sewing. I'm using that slip pocket that I just made to kind of help hold it in place as well. So now I can kind of pick my hands up if I want and move the piece around, and it shouldn't move. And I'm just going to do 2 parallel lines. Stitch down this first line that I drew, back stitch, flip it around, pick my needle up, 1/2 inch down. I'm going to do it again, back stitch all the way down, back stitch. Okay. All right. And now we're just going to cut down the center of our box. I like to use my seam ripper, excuse me, to kind of get it started. I don't like to go the whole way because the seam rippers can get off track really quickly if you're not careful. I go about 1/2 inch away from the end of the stitching, and then I do my little V cut, and then same with the other side. V cut. All right, I'm going to hit this with some steam. It will help it flip easier. Waterproof canvas can be a little bit stiff. So I'll move the camera up here in a second. I hadn't realized I couldn't really see it on the screen. There we go. Okay, so I'm just taking this zipper pocket that we just stitched on and folding the top down. And then I'm going to fold it up. I would suggest using more steam than anything, but you can press on your waterproof canvas. Just try to stay away from the wrong side, because I'm thinking that would probably melt if you put too much steam or too much heat on it. So, okay, there's that, and we're just going to flip it through. It never fails. I've made so many zipper pockets, but I still absolutely hate this part, and there's a lot of times when it doesn't lay perfectly flat. Do not get discouraged. It just takes a lot of practice, and I'm telling you, I've done a lot of them, and they still get me sometimes. Sometimes they're just not perfect, and you know, I mean, it is what it is. And waterproof canvas especially doesn't really want to do what you want it to do. It mostly wants to do what it wants to do. So it's even a little bit tougher to get to lay just right, but just take your time. Don't be in a rush. Okay, now that we have those wrong sides together now, we flipped it through the hole and all that good stuff, we're going to add our zipper. I don't know what I'm looking for there. Oh, the joys of voiceovers. I don't know what I was thinking when I was doing the video. It's been a couple days now. But okay, I laid my zipper right side up. I'm laying my pocket right on top of it so you can see your zipper pull. Make sure your zipper pull is to the left if that's where you want it to be when it's closed. I like to start not necessarily in the middle, but not on the end. Kind of in a little bit from the edge. And then just sew all the way around your zipper. This is nice because you can kind of manipulate your fabric just a little bit to get it to lay nice and straight beside those zipper teeth. If, you know, it isn't perfect, you can fudge it a little bit right here. And again, just take your time. This is, I mean, zippers are hard. And they're still not my favorite thing to do, but I've done so many of them, you know, that things do get easier the more you do them, but I still have to take my time and really kind of focus on what I'm doing. Otherwise, I can get off track really fast. Okay, and then I get up to this corner, and that's why I like to start in, because I can go past where I originally started and then backstitch a little bit so it overlaps the stitching, and then you don't really have to worry about your stitches coming out and unraveling because they're overlapped. All right, just cinch these edges, or not edges, but yeah, threads really quick. And there's our zipper. And you can see where I overlapped a little bit because the thread is a little bit darker in that area. If I would have used gray thread, it wouldn't have been as noticeable. And now we're going to take our other zipper panel piece and put it right sides together, and we're just going to clip the edges. But actually, first, I want to fold these bottom, you'll see, the bottom of our zipper pieces, I want to fold up like a 1/2 inch and press. So wrong sides together when you fold it up. And I will show you. It'll make it easier when we're stitching it closed later on after we flip the bag. Sorry, I didn't move the camera for that, but I will show you in just a second. But yeah, these little edges, just put them wrong sides together. Just fold it over about a 1/2 inch, both of them. Okay, you see I have like a little, yeah. And then the other one, you want them right sides together. So make sure those edges are folded up and they match. And I'm gonna go ahead and just match the whole edge all the way across. Even though we're not going to stitch this bottom edge right now, it will help it keep its shape while we're stitching around the other 3 edges. So that edge I just clipped, you're gonna want to keep it open. Do not sew that edge. And again, I'm out of the frame, sorry. I'm just lining up the zipper panel pieces here, and I'm just clipping them. Leave your main lining piece out of the way. So we're just, see, I'm flipping it out of the way. It's hard to tell, but I'm just clipping those zipper pockets. Yep. And where the zipper is, it always kind of bunches up, so I kind of try to stretch it out and make it work. It looks funky, but it is exactly the same size. It's just you sewed that zipper in there, so it just kind of makes it wonky, but it'll work. And then this top, I'm not gonna clip it. It'll be fine. I'll get to it. Okay, we want to start at the bottom. Don't sew the bottom, but start at the bottom edge. Flip this top panel piece out of the way. We can take that clip out of the way. Start at the very edge. You don't have to start in or anything like that. And whatever seam allowance the pattern calls for, or whatever seam allowance you want to do. I think I did a 1/4 inch here. Back stitch over that zipper. Turn, flip that panel piece up, and just stitch across the top. And really the seam allowance doesn't matter too much for this part. No one's going to see it. You don't want it to be too big of a seam allowance. It's going to make your pocket smaller. But yeah, that's up to you. Usually I honestly just wing it and do whatever I want. Unless I'm new to a pattern, I will follow it exactly. All right, all the way back down. Make sure you stitch over those edges that you folded up to secure them. And there you go. And we still have that bottom edge open. And I can take the clips off now. Okay. Ta-da! And you want to make sure your zipper is halfway open always, because you'll want to flip our bag through that hole later. So I can get my hand all the way through. All right, we got a slip pocket and a zipper pocket. This side is done. And this side is done. We have 2 long, deep pockets and 2 short pockets. 2 slip pockets on one side and 1 slip pocket on the other. Thumbs up. Okay, this is the bottom of our lining piece. I made it a 1/2 inch. It's hard to explain. The piece I showed that had all the lines all the way around it, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I just marked a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the wrong side. So I had a line to refer to basically when I'm sewing. But see, I got my snaps out. We want to install these because that's how I want my bag to close. I'm not going to use a zipper like the Trailblazer calls for. And I think I did an 1.25 inches down. Again, this is not part of the pattern. It's kind of wherever you want it. It's your own preference. I'm just showing, you know, all the modifications I did. I should have wrote this part down, and if I would have been able to finish this voiceover, I would have probably remembered the day of, but I'm just using 2 pieces of Decoville Heavy as scrap pieces as some extra stability on the back of these snaps so they don't pull out of the lining as easily, I suppose. I'm not going to iron them to the back of the waterproof canvas because I'm sure that would melt the waterproof canvas. So we're going to use one of the washers and line that up with the dot that I made for the center of my panel. Make my marks. I know I've been over how to install magnetic snaps like a dozen times in a lot of my videos, so I'm sorry if this isn't the greatest explanation, but I just found the center mark and I measured down exactly on both panels, like 1.5 inches, I think, and drew a dot. And then those washers have a hole in the middle and 2 lines on each side of them that are open that you can make your marks through. So I'm just poking my holes for the prongs of the magnets, and we're going to go ahead and just install them. So put the prong in through the right side of the fabric. Add your Decoville heavy scrap if you're going to use it. We're not ironing it on, just add it. And then add your washer. Okay. And then I like to fold the prongs outward. I feel like it's less bulk. If you're using cotton or something like that for your material, you can use some duct tape right there to kind of help it stay, you know, extra whatever. But it doesn't really stick to waterproof canvas very well, so I'm not even going to try. All right, same thing on this side. Deco heavy, and then we'll go ahead and add the washer, and then fold those prongs outward. All right, I think I actually did add some duct tape. This will probably come off later on, but I did make them small enough to where it was only covering, for the most part, the Decoville heavy, so it may actually stick because it'll stick to that interfacing. But if you made the duct tape really big and tried to make it stick to the waterproof canvas, I can promise you it won't stick and stay. It'll come undone. Then you'll have like a little jumbled up mess inside your bag. I snapped them together, make sure they're good and even. They're awesome. Another thumbs up. Let's go ahead and put our bag together. We are so close to being done. Make sure your slip pockets are correct. Make sure you can put your hand in on those side panels because it's kind of confusing. You could get it mixed up if you're not careful. All right. Just going to go ahead and clip. Put a side panel to one of our main panels. Clip them together. Make sure it's all lined up. And like I said previously, I think the pattern called for 3/8. Definitely do what the pattern calls for. I didn't change any of the seam allowance. I mean, I did because my pattern pieces were printed too small. That was my bad, but you definitely should follow the pattern for the seam allowances and do what that says, because then your bag will definitely turn out correctly. Backstitch over those slip pockets when you get to them. I mean, you don't really have to, but it's, you know, very nice. Okay, let's go ahead and get our other side pocket. Make sure our slip pocket's facing the correct way, which I did. Okay, do the same thing. This bag is so easy. Even when you're doing it according to the pattern and you're adding all the straps and strap connectors and backpack type, you know, stuff to it. I mean, it's extra steps, but it's pretty easy. It's a really easy pattern to follow. I really hope you make one. Even if it's not with my modifications, I really hope you make one because it's a fun bag and I love it. It's so versatile. Okay, so we're just going to add the other main lining panel. Looking good. I'm double checking my slip pockets again, making sure I have them in right. Awesome. I definitely have had time to play with the bag since I've made it. It's been a couple days, and I do think there's those side pockets that I was talking about for my chapstick and stuff. Probably a bit much. I probably really didn't need to add those. But we'll see. I'm going to take it to work and give it a try, and maybe they'll be perfect. Who knows? But, you know, I am, like I said earlier as well, I'm studying Spanish, and I do make flashcards. So, I mean, they would be good for a student. You know, if you have flashcards for a couple different, like, subjects or something, you could put, like, Spanish flashcards in one and English in the other or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just mumbling now, but... in that way, it's nothing bulky. It's just paper, and maybe it wouldn't be so bad. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, last one. for the lining. Like super easy, and waterproof canvas is so nice to work with because you cut it, you don't have to interface it. It doesn't stretch, so when you cut it, so you don't have to worry about them all of a sudden being a different size than what you originally cut out. You know, I mean, when I'm working with cotton, I interface it, it kind of stretches sometimes, it happens. And when I'm working with it in general, making slip pockets on it and whatnot, its shape changes a little. So when I would go to do this, you know, one would be a little bit longer than the other and it'd be wonky, and it's kind of frustrating. And that's just why I love waterproof canvas so much. It just keeps its shape. You don't really have to worry about that fluctuation. So, kind of trying to show you, it's like a big tube. Okay, this is my bottom piece, and like I said before, my seam allowance, I just drew a line all the way around the bottom, so I had a line to follow. You can do that with what the pattern calls for if you would like. My machine doesn't really have a 1/2 inch seam allowance anywhere on the plate of my machine, so I don't really have anything to follow when I am sewing. But you want to put these right sides together. It might seem weird and funky when you're trying to get it in there, but I promise it works. And when you lay it in here, you'll be able to tell. It's a little weird because of the seams, but you'll be able to tell where it goes, and your corners will all line up. Just line up one of the long panels to your bottom. Make sure they're right sides together, and you're going to start and stop in the corner of those marks that you made. I'm just showing you that I have them right sides together right there. So where you made those lines all the way around the bottom, it will have a corner. So it's basically a 1/2 inch from each edge is where you're going to start. And make sure you backstitch. The exterior is a little bit harder if you're using like vinyl and stuff. This part is a little tougher on the exterior just because of the materials, but like anything, take your time. If it gets too tough, take your needle out, take a breath, readjust, you know. Hopefully you're not on a deadline and you can take your time and just, you know. Okay, so we're going to do the other long edge. Same exact thing. Both long edges, and then we'll do the short edges, the side edges. If you have to use a ton of clips, use a ton of clips. And you can also use your stapler if you really need to, which I will end up doing. I believe I did it on the exterior because it was just so much thicker and it wanted to move around a little bit when I was trying to clip it and sew it. But if you feel safer, whatever, or I don't know what the word is, but if you feel like it'd be easier to use a staple, you know, just make sure you keep it within the seam allowance. That way you don't sew over the staple. But that's definitely an option as well. And remember to start and stop on those corners, so it would be a 1/2 inch away from the end. And like I just did, leave your needle in, lift your foot up if you need to, readjust your bag. Keep it on track. Don't just balls to the wall, you know, hit the pedal and floor it and just end up where it ends up. Just make sure, you know, you take your time. But same thing with this, just kind of stretch it out. You can kind of see that, you know, the corners line up. Give it a little tug if you need to get it to lay right. It's a short end, but it does help if you have clips still. Just use a couple. Again, 1/2 inch from each edge here, starting in the corner. If you have to readjust this corner, stick your hand in there, move it around, do what you gotta do to make it lay flat. And really, when it comes to the linings, I mean, I'm definitely trying to get it as perfect as I can, but no one's really gonna be inspecting these corners all that great. As long as they're closed, I wouldn't worry about it. Do the best that you can, and I'm sure it will be just fine. Okay, so that's our finished lining. Remember, your zipper pocket needs to stay open on that bottom edge. I'm going to trim a little. I'm going to leave the corners, but I am going to trim a little bit of the edges off a little bit, just so it sits a little nicer inside the bag. See how I left the corner like I did? I'm going to do that all the way around. Just leave my corners. Especially if you had a little bit of a tough time getting the stitching all the way, you know, to the edge, or not the edge, but to the corner. Definitely leave your corners the way they are. You don't want to risk cutting through some of the stitches, or yeah, I'm not thinking of, I know what I want to say, but it's not coming to mind. Okay, let's cut this one, and then we'll go ahead and start on the exterior. Nope, I guess I was wrong. We'll cut some of the side seams down a little bit too, just because of the bulk. Goodness. Sounds like my husband's home again, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this just run, and then I'll come back on when we start the exterior. Okay, so that is the finished lining. Nice little slip pocket there with our zipper pocket. The slip pockets on the other side. And then the side panels. Looking good. Okay. Now we can go ahead and start working on the exterior. Okay, so I'm just going to take one of the side panels on one of these main panels. This is my front. I kind of thought maybe I got my handmade sign on there sideways, but it actually looks pretty good, actually. But, okay, I'm just going to pinch this pocket together just to keep it from getting stuck in the seam allowance. I'm currently at a business waiting on my car to be fixed, so there might be some background noise. They have a TV on. So we're just going to do the same thing we did on the lining. Put these side panels on and put it all together. Okay, I always like to make sure my slip pockets are right. You always want to double check it. It's not fun to have to rip out and re-sew. So yeah, just make sure that your slip pockets and your panels are all correct before you do any sewing. Okay, now we have the two main panels connected to the one side panel. Go ahead and take the clip out. Pocket looks good. Alright, we're going to get one more of the small side panels and clip it just like we did the other one. And then just continue to sew these onto the rest of our exterior. I'm gonna go ahead and just be quiet now and let you watch that, and we'll get down to the bottom panel, and I'll be back. Okay, so in your pattern you had a stabilizer pattern piece that you need to cut out, as well as your bottom piece. We're going to sew right next to that, so you're going to start and stop in each corner. When you lay this in here right sides together, you'll be able to tell where it goes. All the corners will match up from your exterior panel piece and your bottom piece. Do not start at the very end of your bottom panel piece. Start at the corner of your stabilizer. And it might be a little bit tough, but you can do it. Just take your time. If you have to use staples, use staples. I've done that before too. And just sew right next to that stabilizer. Okay, the other side of this bottom panel can be a little bit tough because you've already got part of it, one side of it sewn on. But it's just the same thing. Line it up, clip it. Sometimes it's hard to get all the way up into that corner where you need to start and stop. If that's the case, get as close as you can and sew down the side, and then flip it over and try sewing from the other side. So when I'm sewing, I like to have my stabilizer, my bottom panel face up. I get as close as I can, and if I need to get closer, I will finish. I just took my clip off my side pocket. If I need to get closer, I will just finish my stitching that I'm doing now, and then I will flip the bag over and stitch from the other side, and sometimes that does help get to that corner. Just do what you can. It is possible, it's just a little tough sometimes, and it can be very frustrating, so even if you have to step away for a few minutes and come back to it, don't stress out and pull your hair out. It'll be okay, I promise. And again, I'm really sorry about the background noise if it's kind of irritating. I'm just trying to do this when I can. I'm having such a hard time finding quiet time right now. But okay, the same with these sides. You won't need nearly as many clips, which is nice. But it is going to be a little bit tougher because they're smaller. But same thing. I don't really know how else to explain it. Just do what you can, and I think practice makes perfect. My first bag was very tough. It looked really bad. But the more you do, the easier it does get, I promise. But it is tough doing them like this. But I like the outcome, so yeah. Okay, I'll just be quiet now and let you watch the other side. Okay, so I finished putting the bottom panel on and I trimmed all of my seams. I'm gonna go ahead and take my lining and turn it right side out. And we're gonna leave the exterior the way it is, and we're gonna put our lining inside of our exterior so the right sides are together. Right now is when you need to decide which part of your lining you want on which part of your bag. Whichever part, like this that you can see right now, the 4 slip pockets, if you want that towards the front of your bag, make sure when you put it in your bag, those 4 slip pockets are facing the side of your exterior that has that's the front, basically. Look at all those pockets. So fun. I'm so excited. This is a nice bag. Okay, now I'm just trying to decide where I want it to go. Make sure your strap connector D-rings are down. And I think I want my zipper pocket to face the back of my bag. So I'm probably going to put it in just like this. Yep. So those 4 slip pockets are going to go towards the front of my bag. Okay. Now we're just going to line up all these corner seams first and clip. I try to nest them. And then I'll go ahead and clip around the rest of the outside, or of the edge, whatever you want to call it. But definitely I would suggest clipping all these corners and seams first and then finishing around the rest of the top of the bag. I do like to tug a little bit like this to kind of make sure everything's laying just right. If your lining's a lot bigger than your exterior, then you didn't sew your seam allowances correctly, and you may have to go back and redo that. But sometimes just a little tug like this does help get rid of a few little bubbles and kind of stretches it out. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and sew around. It doesn't really matter how you do it. You can sew just like this, just push the top out of the way. Some people like to sew a different way, but this is how I do it. And I'm just gonna give it about a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. Okay, so now that we have that stitched all the way around the edge, we're going to go ahead and flip our bag right side out. Remember, we left that zipper pocket open on the bottom. That's what we will be birthing our bag through. Okay, now you're ready. It's not too bad, actually. Make sure your zipper, it's always a good idea to make sure the zipper's all the way open before you actually sew these two together. Push it all the way up. Now we're going to reach into the exterior. Well, I'm going to hit my waterproof canvas with some steam. Kind of helps it turn a little easier, I think. Maybe it doesn't, but I just like to do it. It makes the waterproof canvas a little bit softer. And I'm not really trying to hit the waterproof canvas with my iron, it's mostly just steam. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reach in that zipper pocket all the way up to the exterior, the bottom. Grab a corner and just start pulling it through. So this is like the worst part and the best part because it's a pain to birth it, but yet it's fun to see your bag finally in the end what it's going to look like. It's kind of exciting And you're so close to being finished by this point too. And another thing that's bad is this is when you can tell if you've done anything wrong. And if you have, then you gotta shove everything back through that hole and unpick and restitch, and that's not fun. We don't want to talk about that. That's not fun. But yeah, this is the exciting part because you get to see what your bag's finally gonna look like. So yeah. And I'm just trying to poke those corners out as best as I could. I did not trim my corners, so they are a little bulky, but I've found after using my bags that after I put stuff in them and they get weighed down a little bit, they do take on a better shape. Right now you've just made them and they're fresh and new and unused, so they're going to be a little stiff and funky looking, but they do get better the more that you use them. All right. There's our pockets, little pen holder, a big slip pocket, 2 cup pockets, whatever you want to call them. Our zipper pocket. We're going to go ahead and shove this lining inside the bag. We don't want to sew that zipper pocket up yet. I just want to make sure everything fits correctly and looks good. And I kind of like to do that last anyway, just in case I forgot something. I can still get inside my bag if I need to. All right. We're just going to make sure. I'm sorry, someone's talking really loud in the background. I tell ya. But yeah, I'm just making sure everything fits in here really good and snug. And then we're gonna roll this edge, this top edge, and clip all the way around. And then we'll sew again. So that's what we're gonna do now. I'm just gonna do that, and you can sit back and watch instead of me just mumbling in the background. All right. Okay, all clipped and ready to go. Now this is what I was talking about earlier. The first time I sewed around this edge, I just moved the top part of the bag out of the way and sewn on the part of the bag that was already laying on the table. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to push that bottom part, this part right here, I'm going to push that out of the way. Let me figure out where I want to start. And I'm going to sew on the top part of the bag, if that made sense. That way my top stitching is on the vinyl part of the bag and not the lining part. The nicer stitching I want to be shown. I noticed my machine does pretty good on bobbin and top stitching, but I just decided to do it this way this time. That way I know for a fact the good stitching will be on the top or on the outside of the bag, basically. Okay, so I'm going to sit back and be quiet and let you watch me sew around the edge, and we are almost done. Okay, that top part is stitched. We're going to go ahead and pull out this zipper pocket that we left unsewn, and we're just going to clip it shut. And those, when we pressed it, that really helps to keep it laying flat when you press it like that before we stitch around when we're making it. But anyway, I'm just putting those edges together, clipping it, and we're going to sew a line across it, and we're going to be done. So fun. This bag turned out, it doesn't look anything like the original Trailblazer backpack, but I love the pattern. Bagstock has amazing patterns. I love her patterns. This bag is awesome. I'm going to love these, like, I call them cup holders. They're pockets, but I'm gonna love these cup holders on the sides of my bags. Really, I am. That's like the one thing I'm most excited about, is just the silly cup holders. I know, but okay, let's shove the zipper pocket back in its pocket, if you will. Zip it up, and then let's take a look at this bag. How awesome is this? So cool. I'm so excited about all these pockets. I don't even know what to like say about it. Let's add our crossbody strap or shoulder strap, whatever you want to call it. Oh my goodness. Love it. Oops. Let me make it a little bit shorter because I'm the shorty here. Cool. I love it. A little bit of print, but it's not too bold. Yay! Of course, the first thing I throw in it is water in my thermos. Of course. Cool. Zip pocket, zipper pocket. There's like, oh, I was all worried about my hand sanitizer, like where I was going to put it. This is the best part, especially when you make a bag for yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to put where? There's so many pockets. Like, am I even going to put anything in the main part of the bag? Because I have a pocket for everything. I guess my wallet. I did end up making a necessary clutch wallet to go with it, so that will be going in it too. Also, I did end up making yet another bag, pretty much just like this one, with just a fewer pockets on the inside, and it turned out just as good. So now I have two of these. Hey, I just thought I'd jump back on here really quick. I actually got ready and got dressed. Had to do my hair. We're gonna go meet some friends for dinner, so I decided to get kind of pretty. But anyway, I thought I'd just show you the bag really quick now that I'm dressed and you can see my face and all that good stuff. See how it fits on my shoulder. Okay. I want my tippy toes. Okay. So anyway, that's the bag. Very cute. Let me put you down a wee bit. It does kind of remind me of a diaper bag, just because, you know, I didn't make it the backpack and stuff, but I don't know, I like it, so I'm okay with it looking a little bit diaper bag-ish. So if anyone wants a diaper bag, I mean the Trailblazer, if you modify it like this, it's actually kind of nice with all the pockets and stuff. So but yeah, I just want to get on here and say, hey, it's been so long since I've done some videos. So it was really fun to do them. I'm not quite done yet. I got a little bit more editing to do, mainly just voiceover. The family was home and in and out and making lots of noise, so it was just hard to just sew and talk. But I'll get there. Hopefully sometime this week I'll be uploading it. Of course you don't know that because you're just now watching it. But yeah, I just wanted to show you my bag and say hi in person. And thanks for